What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Wednesday, 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now, taking you all the way up to the 7 o'clock lock time. The sites did not cooperate, unfortunately. FanDuel is including the two late games, the Bulls at the Blazers. Whatever is left of the Blazers, they're playing the back half of a back-to-back, and a lot of them are not playing basketball tonight. New York taking on Dallas as well. That's 9:30 on the East Coast. That is dropped by DK. Pretty fun sprint slate on the DK slate. 7, 8 o'clock. That is the window. 8, just 1 hour. And value plays du jour, we have a bunch because the Warriors are playing the back half of a back-to-back. We warned you. We talked about it yesterday. Steve Kerr told you. He basically told you in his, he basically laid the groundwork talking about the schedule and talking about all the injuries and talking about back-to-backs and stuff. And yeah, I did see the NBA. Apparently, they're trying to figure out all these injuries. They're going to spend a bunch of money, but nobody's going to conclude. I'll tell you this, Tim, before they conclude, nobody's going to say, hey, here's the idea. Maybe play 60 games for the season. Maybe do that. Maybe let's all cut our salaries or 25%.
60?
It shouldn't be more.
Wow.
It shouldn't be more. Maybe. Come on. The last 20 games of the regular season is meaningless, right?
I would cut it. I would cut it to 70. Okay, 72. Well, I mean, 60 is a lot. I mean, that's
65.
Yeah, I mean, 60 would be like 25%.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a pipe dream. It's never going to happen because money. So I mean, you can't. You're not going to take money away from people and the contracts and all that kind of stuff, and nobody would agree to it. But that's in part why all these injuries are happening, and the back-to-backs, and that the pace of the game, and the fact that. They're all the spacing. They put the chips on these guys, and they're talking about how they're running around like 3-4 times more than they were in the past, just because there's more ground to cover. I know people like to pretend like they don't play defense in the NBA, but I promise you, the defense they are playing, and they're exerting more energy than they ever have. And also, with everybody can shoot threes, you have to cover a lot more territory. All right, I'll get off my soapbox for that, but. Yeah, hopefully, you want the players to be healthy, but Jimmy Butler is ducking the Heat in Miami. The Warriors, they're all getting ruled out essentially. Podziemski, we're expecting to start as well as Will Richard. Buddy Hield, I think he's actually still questionable, if I'm not mistaken. He's one that we actually don't have clarity on. As of right now, I think we have 10 or 11 bodies for Golden State, so they still have plenty of bodies. But yeah,
11.
Is it 11? Yeah, but Jimmy, on the injury report, it still says questionable, but I think he's been ruled out via beat writer or something like that.
We have 11 in projections right now, obviously not including Jimmy.
Anybody who dresses is going to play, I think, for Golden State tonight. Whoever does dress, going to get at least some minutes. Kuminga not playing. Horford, naturally, he doesn't play the back half of a back-to-back ever, or pick one of the two. Maybe he doesn't play the front end. Draymond was ruled out for illness by a beat writer, but he's still officially questionable on the injury report. Steph, they gave him an ankle, just give him these body parts. Bam might come back as well for Miami. We might see the arrival of Bam Adebayo. He's been out for a bit with that toe. Tyler Hero's still out, but I think he's been practicing a bit, so maybe we'll see him soon as well. Paul George, he's already out again with his knee. Joel Embiid still out with his knee. Other injury stuff that's worth noting. Darius Garland is still out. Houston could be interesting because they are without Tari Eason and possibly Jabari Smith, which would potentially open stuff up for Steven Adams, possibly open things up for Reed Shepherd. But, there's some days, Tim, where we just don't have a lot of value to pick from. Today, we might have too much value. I'm not sure. Minnesota looks really, really good as well. Taking on Washington. Potential blowout, sure, but Jaden McDaniels is out. We're anticipating Jalen Clark to start. We saw Nas go off last game. They went off too much because the problem with a guy like Nas is he doesn't start, and that third quarter, fourth quarter run, the game got out of hand so fast that he almost had his minutes cut because the blowout was too harsh. But he looks pretty good today against Washington. Mentioning Washington because Alexander Sarr is not playing, and we have another 3K on DK center, Marvin Bagley. We're expecting to start. Remember him? Good fantasy point minute player, best fantasy point minute player on this team, besides Alex Sarr. Not a great basketball player per se. We were talking pre-show what an enormous bust he was getting drafted right before Luka Doncic and Triple J. Maybe they start Vukcevic. I suppose that's possible too. Sabonis is not playing basketball tonight for the Kings. SGA has not seen the fourth quarter, and I don't know how long. They're 18-point favorites. Minnesota 17-point favorites. Denver is a 15-point favorite. So, we're seeing the disparity and a lot of potential blowouts amongst, especially the big stars. And it's not hard if you want to get an SGA. It's not hard to do. If you want to get Edwards, not hard to do. Joker, not hard to do. But it might be hard to get them to play the fourth quarter. Tim, how are things? Hope all is well. Are you as overwhelmed with the slate as I am? There's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of value pieces that I'm still kind of sorting through my head and trying to figure out which ones to prioritize.
Yeah, so I was kind of looking at some of the guys that you were talking about, like Bagley and obviously this whole Golden State situation. And then I started registering for the FanDuel contest as well because I knew I was going to be on a show. And then all of a sudden, all this Portland news came up. And I found myself watching Caleb Love highlights for the last 10 minutes before we got on the show because I don't really know much about him. So
I don't either.
He's another guy that is absolutely free, and obviously he's only available on FanDuel. But I mean, it's you never know, in the NBA, who are these value pieces going to be, and they're just so valuable and have such good points per dollar projections that it's they're really, really hard to pass up, despite the fact that you've never actually seen them play basketball in your entire life. So it's always interesting whenever we have so much value on a slate because it's overwhelming, like you said. And then huge decision points will be made because raw points are really going to matter tonight. And so Jokic on both sites is going to be, I think, really, really popular just because there's just so much value. And obviously he's in a spot where they are, I think last I saw, they were 15-point favorites. He might not find a fourth quarter either. So you were talking about with SGA. So there are really, really straightforward decision points. It's going to be interesting to see what the field does with them because, all optimizers right now are going to give you a ton of Warriors and Jokic. And it's that could be the way to go tonight. But I mean, I think there's other ways that you can go about building your teams and maybe just going a little bit balanced here. Maybe a way to separate and get a little different in GPPs.
I'm just taking a peek now at chat, and it is electric because Bobby Gomes has started. Nobody's ever debated this before, but I think they're debating Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Have you heard that? You've heard these two basketball. You ever consider which one might be better amongst those two?
It's actually not the conversation.
Oh, is that not what's happening? I'm sorry.
Bobby said, "Who would Jordan's comp be in today's NBA?" And
DeMar DeRozan, right?
I said Josh Giddey. And they're trying to say that LeBron would not be allowed to flop back in that time. And LeBron would just kick everyone's ass back in that time since he wouldn't get punished. So, yeah.
Are you sure Bill Laimbeer wouldn't lock him down?
I'm pretty sure, Bobby said, that he has 60 pounds on that guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, Bill Laimbeer was an enforcer back in the day, but yeah, he would.
LeBron would make him look like a little child,
like a plumber. Yeah. So the Portland thing, just to kind of add some color, what you're talking about. Scoot Henderson still out, Drew Holiday still out, playing the back half of back-to-back. The one player, and this is the life of writing NBA content. The world's smallest violin playing for me, but I wrote a whole blurb about Shaedon Sharpe, and then Shaedon Sharpe's out, and. Did I clean up all of Portland? 5 will still. No, Time Lord as well. Time Lord's also not available for Portland. How many bodies do they have? Looks like they still have 11. Okay, but some dudes you don't even know. Yeah,
and Jeremy Grant is questionable.
Yeah, he's ill, right?
Yeah, he was a late downgrade last night. That game lost at 11 last night on the FanDuel slate. He got downgraded before that game started. Then obviously he was ruled out, and then today he's questionable. So I think there might be something real going on there. I'm not saying I have a read either way, but I think it is real. whatever's happening there. So, I mean, that's an important piece too.
Some people got bit, right? Probably going to sleep 10:30, 10:45 last night in the East Coast, and thinking they're clean, they're good to go. And yeah, I don't. When was the ruling out for Jeremy Grant? I don't recall because I did not play.
I think he got ruled out just after 10, so it wasn't really that close to lock. I mean, lock for that game. I mean,
the other thing I did today, Tim, I'll confess, the life of doing NBA content. I see the injury stuff popping on through, and I saw Nikola Jovic was questionable, and I read it as Nikola, the Joker, because I'm like, well, they're 15 because it came in the same exact time Aaron Gordon was downgraded to questionable. So just naturally my brain read that because I saw them both pop up at the same time. But they're 15-point favorites against New Orleans. He seems like a good spot if you want to rest them. I think they gave him a fake body part, and I wrote up a whole thing on the prospect of Jonas Valanciunas getting unleashed, and it turned Andy. Shout out to Andy, he messages me. He's like, yeah, I think you read that wrong. Jovic is questionable. I think he's now doubtful, actually. But bad job by me reading the injury report. And I was so excited about the prospect of playing Jonas Valanciunas for like 30 minutes, revenge against the Pelicans. But alas, far as I know, Joker's playing. But there you go. There's a lot of value plays. And the only star, well, I shouldn't say, I guess a certain cutoff. We'll talk about that when we get there. But Tyrese Maxey is actually in a game that's expected to stay close. But, Anthony Edwards star expected to blow out. SGA star expected to blow out. Joker star expected to blow out. New York and Dallas, I think Brunson's going to be back. So I think that's going to hurt Cat. This is FanDuel only, and he's at 9-9. So I don't know if I want 9-9 Cat with Brunson back. Now, we don't know if he's going to be back, but it is a revenge game for Brunson, and he was at practice today. So I think he plays, but I don't know that. Denny Avdi, I guess, is another. He's a fantasy star, if nothing else. He's certainly got the salary tag of a fan, and he's the last man standing for Portland. And he probably gets loose versus the Bulls as the hammer game on FanDuel. But is there anything else we should note as far as big picture stuff, or should we just dive in and do a little game by game?
Do you have any, I know that you watched a lot of the Heat stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, Golden State's going to be so popular, so it might be beneficial to discuss. I mean, we'll talk about that game, but is there anyone that really benefits from that injury situation? Like if Bam were to sit, Jovic, we have Jovic currently out. If Bam sits, are we getting to a lot of Khalil Ware? Are we getting to Norman Powell? Do you have any, or Jaime Jaquez? Are you getting to any of those guys if Bam were to sit?
I think Ware, we currently have him at 22 minutes, and he's a really interesting conversation because, the Heat have been trying to figure out a way to get Ware and Bam to play alongside each other. They did not do that last year successfully at all. In Bam's absence, we've seen Khalil Ware probably play his two best games as a professional for the Heat. He had an awesome play against speaking of Cat, against Cat when the Heat knocked off their rival, New York. People still care about that down here, Miami versus New York Knicks. But currently we have him for 22 minutes, and I would imagine that jumps up projection-wise. He would get the biggest projection bump, probably around 30 or so. And I think he would be really hard to pay for just because he's going to be kind of stuck in no man's land, just the way that the slate sets up. But Jaquez would get a little bit of a bump in the absence of Jovic already. Larson, a little bit of a bump. We got a revenge game for Wiggins, a little bit more solidified. But and it's going to be really tricky with Miami. Once they've had some role players playing well, Bam getting healthy, and back possibly tonight. Hero back soon. I'm really curious because they have a deep roster, and guys like Drew Smith and Pele Larson probably going to get penalized, and even Jaquez let lose some minutes just because of the way how it goes, the 240 game. But I don't think there's a clear and obvious play though if Bam doesn't go because they've been priced like this for a while. All the prices have kind of adjusted. Bam's been out for 5 or 6 games or so. So it's not like it's like a new scenario where everybody's prices have dropped back down. So you're if Bam plays, those guys are just overpriced, And if he doesn't play, they're kind of priced what they should be. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. First game is the Hornets. The Hornets and the Pacers. 238.5 is the total. It's high and tight. Pacers are 2-point dogs here at home. Yeah, injury report here. Obviously, the Pacers forever injured, forever dinged. Furphy, Halliburton, Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin. For the Hornets, we're still seeing no Brandon Miller. Supposedly his return is imminent. To me, Tim, I'll just tell you, one of my favorite plays in the slate earlier in the day, especially on DK, was Benedict Mathurin. We saw him play 25 minutes in his first game in almost a month, and he came back and he took 14 free throws and 16 shots in 25 minutes. I think his usage was like 42%, which would be, it's a one-game sample, obviously. That would be the highest in basketball. Luka's got like the biggest number, like 37. So, yeah, he came back and he just kind of ran the offense. He ran the team, love him tonight. And we're giving him a bump up to 29 minutes since we were. Yeah, 29 minutes. Probably still a little bit of a cap, just a tick of a cap. But at 6K, I think there's still some squeeze in that price. He's my favorite play in this game. Otherwise, with everything else considered, I don't know all the values on layaway. I don't know if I really like much else. I'm curious to get your thoughts. No priorities, at least.
Yeah, definitely no priorities here. I'm still getting to around 15% Benedict Mathurin in Sims, believe it or not. So I still think he's a good play. Definitely not a priority, but we're currently have him, I think, around 20% protected ownership. Even if he wanted to come in a little bit under that, because I don't think he's going to get any higher than that. So if you wanted to come in a little under that, I think in a 20 max, maybe just put him in like two or three teams, I would have no problem with that. I think he's super close to being like 3 max viable. I just think he has. I mean, I'm probably not playing him in single entry, but if I was playing 3 max, I think you could get to Mathurin here. Like I agree with you, Dean. Like earlier in the day, I had him circled as somebody that I was like most likely going to be playing. And like I talked about on the top of the show, some of these guys who are in the mid range, I think are going to get a little bit forgotten about because this slate is so stars and scrubs. So that 6K price tag. I think, like I said, his ownership's not going to get steamed. So I really do like him quite a bit here. I also was looking at Ryan Kalkbrenner earlier in the day as well. That might be a little bit harder just because center is pretty strong, and we've got Bagley now in that value range, and we obviously have Jokic at the high range, and we have some other centers that we haven't even just talked about yet. So Kalkbrenner might be a tough one, but I still think he's viable in tournaments. Like if you wanted to get like a Kalkbrenner Mathurin mini here, I wouldn't hate that. Other than those two guys, really not getting to much here. Not a lot of interest either way. I mean, value is so strong today. Like I don't think there's any reason to go with some of these cheaper pieces, like bench pieces that actually don't project that bad. Like Diabate, he projects pretty well, but I just cannot see a world where I would be clicking on that.
No, I mean they're chopping the 48 minutes, right? Diabate and Kalkbrenner. I will say it's a great matchup for both of them. They're both kind of like true post centers, and the Pacers give up more points in the paint than any other team in the league. So in theory, it is a good matchup. It's just like you said, Marvin Bagley. And if Marvin Bagley doesn't get there, TJD is going to get there. If TJD doesn't get there, Naz Reid's going to get there. And if Naz doesn't get there, Post is going to get there. And if Post doesn't get there, Drummond gets there. Derek Queen can get there. It's tough. I'm not saying you can't have him in your 150. I would play Kalkbrenner first amongst those two. You're talking about Diabate and Kalkbrenner, but the only real priority I have in this game is Mathurin, and we're still kind of, as far as the minutes for Ball, I think we're still kind of babying him a little bit, right? I imagine we're right around 30. Let's see. I don't know if he's going to get max minutes just yet. We're giving him 30. Good matchup. It's just that I don't know if he's going to get anything beyond 30 minutes here. They didn't really talk they seem to be very, very concerned about managing his minutes and just managing him to play as many games as possible. Yeah, just always something with balls, legs. But yeah, I got nothing else in this game. Like, sure, if you want to play Pascal, have at it. I don't think I am. It's not the worst play. It's just probably not going to fit my builds.
I had interest in, like I said, earlier I had some interest in Pascal. I think you could still get a sprinkle of him. Definitely not in 3 max, but if you wanted to put him in on like 1 out of 20 or something like that, maybe 1 out of 10 lineups, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I did kind of like this game at first, so I think there is some GPP appeal here, but I mean this slate is it's pretty tough to get to these fringe players today.
That's basically my read as well, and I think Mathurin is going to settle in as like a 7K DK player. I think we're getting a bit of a discount at 6K, maybe even more, to be honest. Like if he gets like 33, 34 minutes, eventually, probably not tonight, probably gets 28, 29, 30. But I think we're getting Mathurin a little bit on the cheap. He is 7K on FanDuel, a little bit trickier over there. But again, salary is not that difficult. There's a lot of salary savers. Raptors, Sixers, 233.5. That is the total. The Raptors are favored by a couple here on the road in Philly. Who's in, who's out for this one? Well, the Raptors are pretty healthy. They have Agbaji available and probable, and that means that essentially they are fully stocked. They did get a big day downgrade for the rookie Murray Boyles. CMB is doubtful. I assume that means it'll be Pirtle and Mabakelashvili, although they could have Agbaji play some of the 5 as well. I don't think any of that matters. I don't think that matters for our purposes. Jared McCain is available tonight for Philly with his thumb. Kelly Oubre, of course, still out, going to be out for a bit with his knee. Paul George has a knee, cannot play. And Joel Embiid's he's got 2 knees. And, his knees are not great, so he's not playing. And Adam Bona also out. We saw Andre Drummond get run into the ground last game, 37, 38 minutes or so. The 2 players that are playing the most minutes in all of basketball this season, Tyrese Maxey's averaging over 40 minutes per game, and VJ Edgecombe right behind him at 37. They are 1-2. Now, they did play a couple overtime games, maybe 2 or 3, which I'm sure that's what factors in to some degree. But nobody's projected to play more minutes tonight, according to us, than Tyrese Maxey. Maxey projection for 39 minutes tonight. That's what it was earlier. Let's see if that changed. It did not. Edgecombe 37. I don't think it's a great matchup for Maxey, but we get to usage boost up like 33% or so in the absence of Embiid. So just compiling stuff by being on the court for 40 minutes in a game that should stay close. Your thoughts for Toronto and Philly?
I really do like Philly a lot tonight, primarily Tyrese Maxey at 10K, like Dean said, projected for 39 minutes. We currently also have him projected for the second most raw points on the entire slate, second to only Jokic. So like we talked about here, raw points are really going to matter here on the slate, just with so much value. So I really like Tyrese Maxey today. We have him currently projected around 21% ownership. Really like that play. So I think he's really, really strong. And I also think that there's other pieces of this 76ers team that you can get to in GPPs. Quentin Grimes at 6,100. I think you can play Drummond here, even though he is 6,200 and center is really strong. But I mean, he could easily put up 40 fantasy points here. I guess the argument could be, is that going to be good with center being so strong? But I do like him here. So 6,200, I think is a pretty strong play. So I am getting to some Sixers here. On the other side of the ball, nothing really. I guess you could play quickly at 6,800. I don't really love that play. I'm not really getting Dennis Toronto here, but I'm getting to a lot of Philadelphia, both in some optimal builds and quite a bit of exposure in Sims.
I'm running some new optimals, and I do add some variants. I do cap players as well. I was curious because on FanDuel, you can only run one center, and this has changed throughout the day. And I think that what has happened is we have enough value that FanDuel's just saying, our FanDuel optimizer is just saying, screw it, just play Joker, just play Joker and figure it out. He jumped in 24% of my lineups. He's almost 13K, 12.8 to be precise and all technical, but his projection right now is 63 points. I feel like earlier in the day, Drummond was one of the more popular plays on FanDuel. He's kind of fallen back, but I do agree he's certainly in play. But that's the thing, Tim, right? You can only pick one. And you said, like, Drummond's in the mix. And it's, like you said, decision points at the top of the show. One of the biggest decision points, I think, is Joker. And also some of the better value plays today are centers. So, and DK doesn't have as much flexibility as it used to. Like, FanDuel gives you more flexibility. A lot of guys are multi-position eligible. DK, not nearly as much as they used to be. They clamped down on that. So I'm just trying to think. Have you figured out who your FanDuel center is, or you're still kind of bouncing back and forth?
Yeah, FanDuel, it's kind of different with Drummond. Like, I don't think I can be that ambitious on FanDuel just because, that you only play one. I know that $6,500 price tag over there is pretty good, but that might be too much for me as a single entry player. So I think on FanDuel, I can't go to Drummond. On DK, I am considering it just because you can play two centers. So I can play Jokic, I can play Drummond together. I do want to get exposure to Philadelphia here. So, I don't think I'm going to play Maxey and Drummond together. So it kind of depends on what I want to do with Maxey here. I think I am likely to, at least on DraftKings, I am likely to play one of Maxey or Drummond on my single entry team.
I think Maxey is one of the better pay up stars for cash as well. As far as safe, I think he's got some safety to him. I guess guard is. I'm just looking at the value stuff. Will Richard is one of our most popular players on DK projection wise for the shooting guard position. Bagley right now, what are we giving him? Like 25 minutes? We're assuming he starts, and because he's 3K. Like that's
so Bagley's showing up everywhere in optimals. Maxey, it's kind of like a 1v1 between Maxey and Anthony Edwards. That's kind of like a lot of builds are going between Edwards and Maxey.
You have a lean amongst those two?
Honestly, that $900 doesn't really make much of a difference tonight, just because there's just so much value. I think, you said, at the beginning when we started talking about this particular game, this game's actually supposed to be close, So Maxey should be playing his full allotment of minutes here. Whereas, Minnesota is last night, this might have changed, but last I saw, they were like 17-point favorites. So, Ant may not play his full allotment of minutes here. So I'm kind of leaning Maxey. Like, I am seeing some Maxey in optimals, but I am also seeing a lot of Ant in it. Yeah. So
Jimmy Butler officially not playing in Miami. Draymond officially not playing in Miami. He's sick. And Bam Adebayo in his toe. He's good to go. Bam is in for Miami. So
and Buddy's in too.
Oh, I didn't see that. I missed Buddy being in. Okay, that's
pretty sure I just saw that.
Okay. Interesting. That is of note.
And that was someone important too. Buddy's in.
Even if he's not playing, it would boost up other players.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, like, we'll talk about that game when we get there, but anybody who's dressed is going to play for Kerr in the rotation. And I think it's going to be 10 or 11. Yeah, we'll talk about that game in a second. There's still one more game as far as the 7:00 window. Oh, Jovic officially ruled out. Nikola Jovic, with a V for Miami, is not playing basketball tonight. But Bam is back. Rockets, Cavs, 234.5 is the total, and this is another one kind of high, kind of tight. Well, definitely tight. Two good defensive teams. Houston taking on Cleveland. Houston does have some body parts to monitor because things can open up on their side. The Tari Eason being out, he's got an oblique. Jabari Smith also has a knee, so he's questionable. Cleveland, Garland still out with his he's got a toe, I believe. Sam Merrill's got a hand, so he's questionable. We've yet to see Max Strus this season. And, man, I hope Jalen Tyson's doing all right because he's been out for a while with that concussion. I think Şengün's an interesting spend tonight, Tim, but nobody's going to play. Well, I shouldn't say nobody's going to play, but most people I think are going to say, screw it, I'll spend all the way up for Joker, or I'm going to spend all the way down for, Quentin Post or TJD or Marvin Bagley, or in the middle, I suppose, in Drummond. But Şengün, he's gotten loose versus some other, tough matchups. This is a tough matchup, but also a matchup that's going to keep him on the court, especially if we happen to lose Smith and Easton already being out. Houston's going to play tight rotations. Steven Adams will probably play. He might actually start. Wouldn't be shocking if he starts because the opponent here in Cleveland. But curious your thoughts with the Rockets and the Cavs.
This is definitely my favorite real life game of the entire slate. I'm not sure about DFS. I am getting to a lot more Şengün than I thought I would be getting to. Getting to around 15% in Sims, getting to 11% Kevin Durant as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I just felt like this total was kind of high. Not that I bet sports usually. I kind of felt like this game would be more kind of a defensive struggle. It's two really, really solid teams. I don't mind taking shots on Şengün. I don't mind taking shots on Durant. Where did I lost my spot here? Oh, Donovan Mitchell. I don't mind Donovan Mitchell here, but again, like I'd much rather play Maxey. I'd much rather play Edwards. I feel like this game, at least for me, kind of falls pretty far down.
Jabari in, by the way.
Yeah, Jabari's in. So yeah, I mean, especially if Houston's going to be fully healthy, I don't know. I don't really love this game.
Well, Easton is out, but yeah.
Somewhat.
Which I think opens up a little bit for Adams and a little bit for Shepherd. If you want, you can tell yourself a story with those guys. But again, Steven Adams, is he really going to compete with these other guys? Probably.
And Adams is starting. We did not have Adams projected to start.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a chance with this with a matchup. I didn't see.
We had Okaji starting, and it looks like Adams will be starting.
Shout out to the Rockets, by the way. An hour and a half. I mean, imagine a world, Tim, where an hour and a half before the game starts, you actually get a starting lineup. I mean, is it really that hard? Is it that hard? I guess it is. I guess it is for some of these teams. But, maybe the league should mandate something like that. I don't know. Just a thought. But they won't.
Make it like NFL, 90 minutes before game time, inactives, starting lineups, whatever it is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Thompson, that's Amen, starting alongside Durant and Smith, as well as Şengün and Adams. Double big versus double big. And it's two good offenses, right? Two top 10 offenses. I believe Houston's the best offense in basketball. They are. Cleveland's 11. I said top 10. They're top 10, though. I mean, at the end of the season, check back. And two top 10 defenses, right? Houston is 6th. Cleveland is 9th. So, yeah, two good teams, but, like, good offense and good good defense as well. It should be a fun game. I think Şengün's a really interesting tournament flyer, just on a different night, Adams. But I guess his projection will go up, but it's still hard to see him, being the guy that rises out of all the cheap centers. But he can rebound like 16 balls and get like 3 or 4 stocks and get a couple dunks. So it's not like unfathomable, but probably not getting there. Anything else here as far as Houston and Cleveland?
No, are you getting to any of that game? Are you getting to any Cleveland teams?
I'm more likely to play the Houston side than the Cleveland side. I'm still reeling a little bit from the DeAndre Hunter shenanigans. DK knows, the algorithm knows sometimes, right? He was 4-5 the other day. It's like, this is a lock and load, right? And he only played 25 minutes or so. Merrill is questionable. That can open up stuff a little bit, but they have different bodies. I just generally don't spend up for Mitchell, but certainly he can drop 40 points. I respect Houston's defense. But like you said, the number is pretty big. I like Şengün as a tournament flyer. I think Amen is always interesting. Always a potential triple double threat. And on the right night, stocks, right? He can get himself a handful of those, one of the best defensive players in all the league. I don't know is the real answer, but in my head, like if I'm building a lineup and I have 7-9 left at point guard, I'll play Amen and just move on. That's my lineup, right? And same thing if I have 9-5 at center, I'll play Şengün and move on. Am I starting my lineups? Anybody here? Probably not. I don't think so. Okay. That is the end of the 7 o'clock games. We'll talk about the 7:30 games in a second. Did we officially say hello to chat? What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Help us keep the proverbial lights on.
We got a wheel going today, Dean?
I don't think so. I don't think we have one.
Wow.
If we do, I'm not aware of it. Every once in a while, Steve will sneak one in there, but it's not like Wheel Wednesday is not like an assumed thing. And last time you got to hit the like button a certain number of times, and the people just were not playing along for whatever reason. Did not want the premium. So, and we also debugged it. Remember, it was rigged for a while. We got that out of the game.
It's still rigged, Dean.
Oh,
we didn't get that out of the game.
Well, I mean, publicly, like we up front.
I heard Movie Monday's rigged now.
Well, I mean, we're trying our best. There's just some people. I don't know what's going on. Don't look at me. Agbaji, by the way, officially in. Colin Murray-Boyle's officially out for Toronto. I don't think that matters a heck of a lot. Pirtle, Mamakilashvili, and Agbaji split the center minutes there, but I don't think that's a big deal. Oh, I should mention shot quality. If you're playing NBA DFS, still relying on box scores, you're behind. Shot quality gives you the most productive data in basketball. They break down every shot, shows you what should have gone in, not just what did go in. Right now, you can grab a free 3-day trial. Just head to the link in the show description. After that, it renews for $39.99. Do not play blind. Play smarter with shot quality. Yeah, it will integrate on the Lineup HQ tool. Go ahead and check out that link in the description. And maybe you have Combo Pro, maybe you don't. But if you don't, why not? Get more bang for your buck with Combo Pro for a limited time. First month of Combo Pro, it's $79.99. Only $5 more than NFL DFS monthly. What is Combo Pro? It adds NFL, not just NFL, baseball, basketball, college football, PGA, MMA, much, much more. All right. Check out the link in the description for that as well. Do not pass up that elite value. Okay. It is the Warriors. The Warriors and the Heat. We just got the official rule-out players for Golden State. They're ducking Miami. Jimmy Butler does not want the smoke in Miami, obviously. The crowd probably would not have welcomed him back. I imagine they probably would not have, overwhelmingly. Some maybe, but most probably not. Who's in, who's out? Back half of a back-to-back for Golden State. Well, deep breath. Jimmy Butler, they gave him a back. Stephen Curry, they gave him an ankle. Draymond, they just said he's ill. Buddy, they said he's ill, but he's in. Buddy's in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's in.
Al Horford's got an old toe, so he cannot play basketball. And Kuminga's got a knee, so he cannot play basketball. Bam Adebayo officially in for Miami. Hero still out. Nikola Jovic is out. So we are expecting Podziemski, Will Richard, Buddy Hyde, Moses Moody, and Quentin Post to draw the start. It could be. Yeah, it's probably going to be Post. Yeah, I think it's going to be Post. TJD will get some run off the bench. Gary Payton will get some run off the bench. Keith Santos will get some run off the bench. Pat Spencer will get some run off the bench. And again, I think that, Tui and Rowe probably get a few minutes. Are we projecting that? You're not playing them, but I'm just trying to figure out where those minutes go.
Tui and Rowe are both getting 8 minutes apiece. We have 11 players in projections with Tui and Rowe both getting 8.
Yeah, that's everyone projected. 32 to Pods, 31 to Richard, 31 Moody. Most everybody else in the 20s or mid-20s. GP2, 18. Yeah, so, okay. Well, you're probably running some Sims. You're running some Optimals. How much Warriors is too much Warriors? And it's not just that the Warriors are out. It's they're playing Miami. And playing Miami is just like, you get so many free fantasy points just because, the up and down pace of the game, the extra possessions. Do you have a max? I'm not going to, because they're cheap. They're all cheap. The most expensive Warrior is Pajemski, I believe, right? I think so. He projects really well. If this game gets ugly, he's probably one of the first guys, to be done, right? I'm just trying to think who would mop. Pat Spencer. I think Spencer's an interesting one. Yeah.
Pat Spencer's a super interesting one. And he's currently not popping in like that many optimals. He's popping in a ton of sims right now, but he's not because he's projected for 21 minutes. Currently 21 fantasy points as well, 3K. He's point guard, shooting guard. So he's got that multi-position eligibility to go along with it. I really do like Pat Spencer a ton here. But yeah, obviously you're going to be getting to 3 or 4 of these guys. I think I would limit it at 4. But you're probably also, do you want to min 2 or min 3 here? I think that's kind of more of the more important question. It's like you're getting to at least 2. You're getting to at least 2 of these guys.
I think so. I think I'll have at least 2.
Yeah, I think you basically have to have at least 2. You might even want to go at least min 3 as well. That's what I'm going to be doing when I get off the show. Is kind of building some rules in lineup HQ, and I'm probably just going to go min 3 here and just see where that gets me. Because I think you're pretty much auto playing Moses Moody here, projected for 31 minutes, and Pajemski probably as well at 6K. And this game is a 10-point spread, so it's not a complete, it's not like a 15 to 18 point spread. So this game might maintain throughout here. So, and if it does, I would assume, probably 4 of these Golden State guys will be optimal. Yeah, I think it's interesting, what people do with Post and TJD.
Max
that's
1.
kind of an issue.
Max 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would definitely separate those two. Make sure that those two are separate. But I just think it'll be interesting to see what the field does. If they want to just go with the starter or go with the bench guy. I prefer TJD straight up, but the problem is now we have Marvin Bagley that's kind of ruined this whole TJD thing, because Bagley is, I think, a pretty significantly better play, but I think TJD will make for a pretty interesting pivot off of Bagley.
I'll pull up the fantasy points per minute this season. I can't. I'm not going to bother with the on-off stuff, because if I kick everybody off the court, I'm going to have no sample size, obviously. Because I can't kick off Curry and Butler and Kuminga and Green. I'll have nothing. I'll have nothing left. But just like fantasy points per minute in the season, amongst the players that are actually playing tonight for Golden State, the biggest number, fantasy point per minute, is Pat Spencer at 0.98. Mm-hmm. And he's a 3-point specialist, and the Miami Heat give up more 3-pointers than any other team in the league. So, maybe be a little bit tougher to get that shot without somebody like Steph getting it for him, obviously, with the spacing. TJ.
What about Buddy Hyde? If this is an amazing 3-point spot, are we just done with him? Are we just done with him because he's old news?
I think the thing with him, and it's he's not great at getting his own shot. And Steph usually gets it for him, and now he hasn't done it for him this season basically at all. Hield's not been good, but there's a chance that Pods can get him that shot. It's a tricky one. I think that's one of the tougher ones, to be honest. And he's ill. Who knows how ill he may not be? May or may not be.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're playing games in Golden State. Because it seems there's certainly these guys could play if they needed to play. They're really not hurt, right? Whatever. And I understand why Kerr's doing it. He doesn't want old Steph Curry and old Jimmy Butler and old Draymond Green to get hurt on the back half of back-to-back after a night they played. I think Butler played 38 minutes or so last night. So I get it. But you got to give him an injury. Otherwise you're going to get to, I don't know if you saw, but the Cavs got fined $100,000 for sitting all their guys against Miami and beating Miami with all their scrubs about a week ago or so. Yeah. That's the tricky one with Hield. I don't know how to project him, but in theory, he's, this is a good matchup for him. You mentioned Moody like as like a lock and load. I think he's a better play on FanDuel. As far as the price, he's kind of priced up on DK. He's 4.7 on FanDuel. That's really good. He's 5.6 on DK. Still good, but he's got to give you like 35 points tonight, which he should. He's another good 3-point shooter. He had that barrage the other day where he made 7 3-pointers in a quarter. Guy Santos is another 3K player, by the way, who can get there in 24 minutes. He's a guy that could play center also. So I'm just trying to figure out, you're thinking about Post and TJD and Santos. Like I would max 2 of those. I'm trying to think if you'd max 1. I don't think so. I think you could play Santos with Post or TJD. I think so. But if you want to have stricter rules, you could say max 1 of those 3 if you want to do that. And Podziemski projects really well too. He's probably going to be the main ball handler, I think.
So you don't think Moses Moody would like be a 3 out of 3 play in a 3 max set?
On DK, I think it's okay to not play him in one of the 3. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I'd be locking in a 3 max build. I think I'd be locking in Pods and Moody. And I think that's it in terms of like 3 out of 3. And then you can kind of spread it around with Pat Spencer, Guy Santos, Will Richard. You know what I mean? But I think Pods and Moody are just like my two guys, and in terms of like locking in a 3 max set.
I mean, I'd play them both in cash, obviously. I'd play them in cash.
Yeah. No, I know. Definitely, you're definitely blocking those 2 guys in cash. But I'm just talking like if you're playing like I think there's like a $20 3 max or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I'd be locking in Podziemski and Moody.
And Post is a weird player because weirdly named because he's not a post player. He's a big, tall guy, but he plays outside. And I guess that's better against Miami than someone like TJD who plays on the inside strictly. Basically, I shouldn't say strictly, but he's more of a grinder, Rowe and Tui, that's just too ambitious in the slate.
I don't like them.
We're projecting Post to start, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's TJD.
What would you do in that scenario? So we have Post at 26 minutes or 25 minutes, TJD at 21. What if we flip those 2 projections? What if we gave TJD 25 and Post 21? Something like that. So I mean, TJD would then probably be projected for more than Bagley.
He'd be right there with Bagley. Yeah.
Right. And so like, what do you do in that scenario? I mean, I think that's gotta
Warriors. I don't know. This is a night where I wish I was making more lineups because I know the pool of players that I feel really confident in these are the 30 people or whatever, 25 players that should be in your pool, right? Your main players.
I think if TJD starts, I might lock him into a 3 max as well.
Yeah. Tougher matchup though against Bam, just worth noting. They are saying his minutes will be monitored. Bam's minutes will be monitored. Bottom line is I'm going to have probably 2 or 3 Warriors in every team. I think that's the field. I don't know if I'm getting the 4. I'm not sure because there's just so much other stuff. But if you want to play 4, I'm not going to discourage it, and I still might. I'm running. What do our optimals say? Are they giving us 4? 4 the first one, 4.
Yeah, it's mostly 4.
4 or 3, and then a bunch of T-Wolves as well. Yeah. Ugh. But the thing is, they're so cheap, right? Which is, I think that's the best argument for 4.
They're so cheap, and the matchup is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is.
Okay. Anything else we just say as far as Golden State and Miami?
Nope, I think we're good.
The Kings and the Thunder, we're expecting a shellacking. OKC is 18-point favorite here. As far as who's out for this one. Keegan Murray, they say his return is imminent. He's not here just yet. Domantas Sabonis is still dealing with the knee, so he is out. We're anticipating Drew Eubanks to start. OKC, still no Wiggins, still no good Jalen Williams. Still no Kenrich Williams. Doesn't matter. They keep crushing everybody. If you remember, this is the game that Hartenstein had a career night against. Was that a week or two ago? Was it 30-20 or something goofy? He destroyed the Kings. And he's not going to get played. Just sort of throwing that out there if you still believe that he can do it again. We're expecting a blowout. We're expecting SGA to probably not play the fourth quarter again. He does play the entire third, which is nice, almost always. So, yeah, he's another superstar, not hard to get, really, really good, and not going to get played a heck of a lot, I don't think. How do you feel about the Kings and OKC?
So I'm definitely not getting to any Kings here. I think that's pretty easy. Projections agree with that. Sims agree with that. Like I'm just not going there. I don't really. If a King beats me tonight, then so be it. I think that's a pretty easy call. Oklahoma City is a little bit more complicated, mainly what to do with SGA. You know, like we have those expensive guards that we talked about, Tyrese Maxey and Anthony Edwards. You know, SGA is more expensive than both of those guys, but his raw point potential is pretty enormous here. You know, obviously it's the blowout risk. You know, that's what it is with Oklahoma City each and every game that they play, it seems. So is 50 points going to cut it from SGA? Probably not. You know, and that's kind of. But if this game can somehow stay close, and he gets you into that 60 to 65 territory where he can compete with Maxey, where he might even compete with Jokic. Like, say you wanted to double pay down at center today and double pay up for two premium guards. That's like a way to get contrarian on the slate but the thing is, this game has to stay close. So, you know, that's what you're risking here. I think we currently have SGA around 5%. Maybe he's up to 10 now. 11 project. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. So he's come up a little bit here. I think it's just because that his raw points are so high and this slate is so stars and scrubs. So that does make sense. That it's a little bit higher than it was a little bit earlier this afternoon. So, but yeah, I mean, I think I'd still probably come in under that. He would not be a full fade for me if I was building out 20, but I don't think I'm going to get to him in a 3 max. I just don't think I can do it. I think there's other ways. I think my approach of like maybe going a little bit more balanced with like two 6K guys, you know, is the way that I'm going to get contrarian today. And I'm not going to get contrarian by playing through SGA.
Yeah, I'm just looking at optimal stuff. And the first one I'm seeing is 4 Warriors, Anthony Edwards, the Joker, and Marvin Bagley, and another guy. But, yeah, like 2 big spends and then all the cheap stuff. You can get 2 studs pretty easily. I'm seeing another one with Maxey, Randall, and Edwards, which might be a little bit too much Minnesota, but that game stays close. It'd be the perfect amount of Minnesota possibly. Yeah, Edwards is hitting a lot of stuff. Maxey, Randall. Okay. I really don't have anything else as far as OKC and Sacramento. I don't think there's much else to say.
I don't either. I mean, I always like to play some Chet, but I don't think this is the spot.
Wizard. I mean, it can be. It's just I don't know how long they're going to let him do his thing. Right? This is sort of the tricky part. They're an island game, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I wrote this down. Front end is Philadelphia, Sacramento. It is Sacramento front end, so they might even pull their guys a little bit early if things are getting disastrous, just for the sake of saving tomorrow night. And the back end is Golden State. We learned why. We talked about other players being out. Portland we'll talk about in a second in more detail. We touched on them at the top. Okay, the Wizards. The Wizards in Minnesota, another blowout on layaway. 17-point favorite Minnesota at home versus Washington. Washington's without Alex Sarr. Minnesota, Jaden Daniels, 3-and-D, one of the best defenders. He's got a wrist, so he's out. We're expecting Jalen Clark to start, but Naz Reid certainly is going to benefit as well. 128 team total for Minnesota. I think that's got to be the biggest team total on the board, right? Yeah, that's the biggest team total on the board because Washington, turns out, still terrible. Defense on the season, second worst. Thankfully that the Nets are in the league. That's what's keeping them from being the absolute worst defense in basketball. And also they're playing at the 4th fastest pace. So They're terrible and they play fast, which is a perfect recipe. Nobody on this team is going to slow down Ant. Randall's been awesome this season so far. Nas is an excellent spark plug, 6-man off the bench. It's just a matter of how long can this game stay close. And then we talked about Marvin Bagley, and we're expecting him to start. I think he starts. You got to put somebody in there. If not him, it'd be like Vucevic. They probably chop the 48. Is that what we have? Close to the 48 as far as the chop? I imagine so.
For Vucevic and Bagley.
Vucevic, okay. 25 Bagley, and I'm trying to think who else would get the extra run over. Doesn't really matter, I guess. But yeah, are we putting Bagley in there as just like a placeholder? We're assuming how bad could 20 minutes of Bagley be? And he could play 25 plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about with Golden State, though, between TJD and Post, right? Like if maybe if TJD kind of snags that start, maybe you have a decision between Bagley and TJD. That's kind of where I'm at right now. If it does look like Post is starting, it's definitely would be safer to just play Bagley at 3-1. But this is not a good matchup, so it's. But I mean, I suppose somebody has to score for Washington. So I mean, he's only 3,100. I would just say though, there are other really, really strong plays, cheap centers. There's other ways to build. So I don't think you have to get super carried away with him. I don't think he's some kind of absolute lock. I will be playing him in my single entry if TJD doesn't start. So right now I do have him in, at least on DK, but it's I don't think he's an absolute lock play. I don't know if I'd necessarily put him in 3 out of 3 in a 3 max.
He's been playing mid-teens so far this year, for what it's worth, and not a great basketball player, but 1.11 fantasy points per minute. As far as FanDuel, the best player on this team that's playing tonight, because Sarr is by far their best fantasy point per minute player in Washington. And of course, Sarr is out, which is opening up Bagley. Do you want to prioritize the T-Wolves for me?
Yeah, so I'm getting to more Anthony Edwards than anyone else, and that shouldn't really be that surprising. He's 9,100. It's a fantastic matchup. I absolutely love Nas Reed here at 5,300. This should be a really, really good, up-tempo game for him. This should be a game that plays into his strengths really, really well. So absolutely love Nas here. I think he would be the next T-Wolf for me. Randall, obviously, fantastic. I think Dante DiVincenzo is an interesting pivot off of somebody like Pajemski. I'm not saying that I would do that in a single entry or 3 max, but I think if you're getting out, building out some teams today, I think that's an interesting pivot. Pajemski could potentially fail, so I think DiVincenzo would be an interesting pivot. It's in a similar price range. Yeah, I think that would really be it for me. Optimals are giving out a ton of Minnesota here, and I understand why. Highest team total on the board, fantastic matchup. I don't think I'm going to get to more than 2, and I may only play 1, but that might be a little bit risky. But I'm not going more than 2.
And like I mentioned before with Nas, I love Nas. He's great, and he, in theory, he's well positioned, and the matchup's awesome. But what happened last game when they absolutely destroyed Dallas, in part because he went off in the first half. I think he put 20 real-life points in the bucket in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. But he's not playing the third quarter, right? The first 6, 7, 8 minutes of the third quarter. He comes in 3-4 minutes to go. And if it's a 30-point game, like last game, they let him play at the end of the third, 3-4 minutes or so. They let him play 3 minutes or so of the fourth, but he's not a mopper. So he's too good to mop. And he's just, I don't want to say not good enough to start, but he's not starting. So he's not also contributing to the big blowout, at least in the third quarter, that chunk. So he's losing minutes. He's some people, some guys that are not as good are going to get extra run off the bench because of a blowout, but he actually gets hurt by it, if that makes sense. So that's a little bit of a concern I have for Nas, but he should be fine. And in theory, should play, 26, 27 minutes or so and really smash against Washington. But I do like the idea. I was thinking about the same thing. If they're going to be this popular in Minnesota, like, I don't think I'm going to play Randall and Edwards together. I guess that's good for your ceiling. I'm sorry, your floor, I suppose.
Right.
But, because they're going to score 125 points, maybe 130, maybe 135 against Washington. And those guys are going to do a lot of damage, I presume. But they also might both lose the fourth quarter. I guess if you want to bet in the game staying close, I don't really know what the run backs are outside of Bagley.
I don't think you have to force a run back here.
I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. Crunch time coming in about 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes, depending on when they jump in here. I believe it's Noto, the Notorious one, who's probably been updating his stuff all throughout the day with all the injuries. Kyle Murray, as well as Kevin Roth. Roth holding it down, taking you guys all up the lock. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. And if you're wondering why sometimes your questions are not prioritized for Crunch Time, it's because you didn't put them in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream. You put your questions for Roth. That's the questions he prioritizes before he jumps over to the YouTube. Okay, last game on the DK slate is Denver and the Pelicans. You're not going to believe it. Another blowout, another potential blowout. Now, last time we thought Denver was going to be involved in a blowout, they lost, right? Was that last game against Chicago? I think it was. They lost at home to Chicago. Was that game? Am I confusing my games? Maybe it was one of the more recent games, if nothing else. Sometimes you just can't predict. Yeah, that was the game. 127-130. They lost at home to Chicago. Who's in and who's out for this one? Well, let me go ahead and check out the trusty injury report. Christian Brown, of course, is out. Aaron Gordon, they gave him a hamstring injury management, so he's questionable. We may or may not get Aaron Gordon tonight. Otherwise, they are clean of players that matter. And their opponent, New Orleans, is Sadiq Bey is questionable. Zion, you're not going to believe this. Zion is questionable. Jordan Poole is still out. Makovich also out, which may seem like it doesn't matter, but I think it solidifies Queen a little bit more. They've been giving him more run. So, and I think, I think Queen's an interesting center, getting more run of late, but, maybe it's this not tonight because of all the centers we've been talking about. Joker, we've kind of talked about him. We've danced around the entire show. I don't know if typically when the cap is like a tough squeeze, it really hinders the rest of your lineup to play Joker. And tonight, it's going to weaken it, the surrounding parts, but there's so much value you can surround him with value, and it doesn't look bad. Are we prioritizing Joker? Because he should absolutely do his thing against New Orleans, another just inept, incompetent organization, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. So he should do his thing. But is he a priority piece for you?
Definitely a priority in cash games. It should never be this easy to play a $13,000 player. Like it's so easy. It's so easy to play him tonight. Like you'd be really foolish not to in cash games. The argument in GPPs is ownership, and is this game going to not stay close? Is he not going to get his full run? If he does, like, can he put up 70 plus in a blowout? And I think he can. I don't think he's some kind of like absolute. I don't think I need to go grossly overweight him in GPP. But I wouldn't be full fading him either. I think in 3 max I might put him in 2. I don't think I would necessarily go 3 out of 3 here, but I would definitely put him in 2. He's going to be a terrifying fade. I mean, he's just the raw points on him are just really, really safe. We haven't projected for 65, which is going to be really strong on the slate. I think he's pretty close to a 3 out of 3 and 3 max, but there are cases to be made to go away from him. I think he is your center on FanDuel, just because I don't want to give up that position. So I think he is going to be my center on FanDuel in single entry.
Joker averaging over 2 fantasy points per minute on the season, which is completely bonkers. And it's not even like a volume thing. If you look at his rates, the rates are outrageous too. He's just been incredible. 1.93 on FanDuel, I should say. 2.04 on DK, but that's just bonkers. And the matchup here against New Orleans is spectacular too. So, yeah, he's the scariest fade in basketball, right? I think sometimes every once in a while it's Wemby against a team where he's blocking like 19 shots, but Joker, like, we just rack it. He gets like the triple-double in the first half, does everything. He'll sprinkle in some threes. Every possession, he's like involved in something, it seems like. The worst is when you have a lead and you're feeling pretty good, and then Joker is just climbing, and it's only halftime and you don't have Joker. It's like, it's not going to be my night. There's just no chance. That's it. We're done.
Sam Merrill out. Really quick on Denver getting to Jamal Murray on FanDuel. I think he's kind of interesting over there. The question is, do you want to play both Jokic and Murray on the same team on over there? I think you can, but that game's gonna have to stay somewhat close. But I do kind of like Jamal Murray on FanDuel at 8,300. He's got that point guard, shooting guard eligibility, and I don't think Jamal Murray is going to come in that highly owned. So I do like him a little bit over on FanDuel at 8,300.
Yeah, 86 on DK is just not going to get played. You're talking about the FanDuel.
Right, yeah.
8-3 will get played, but like if you want to be different in tournaments, you think Murray's going to have a big night, you can just hit the lock button on Murray on DK and then just hit like optimize and pick your favorite lineup amongst the first 5 or 7, and like you're different.
I don't think he's going to get that played over on FanDuel though, Dean.
What do we have him for? About 10%, 15%?
Yeah,
10%, 11%. Yeah. Obviously, if you do that, you need Murray to have a big night to separate himself. If he doesn't do well, then you're in a bad spot. But if you want to take a big stand, I don't disagree with the Murray call at all. Okay. I do want to touch on the FanDuel games before crunch time comes knocking on the door. I know you did the research. I know you're playing on FanDuel, so let's acknowledge the last 2 games. We kind of teased the Blazers as well. We talked about them earlier on the show. The Mavs are home to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson, revenge game, drafted. We just talked about that pre-show. Drafted in the second round. Same draft. They got Brunson and Luka. Well, I guess they technically drafted Trae Young, but they went home with Luka. Brunson did participate in shoot-around today, so we're projecting him in as of right now. Stay tuned. I don't know when you'll get an update on that. But, yeah, OG Anunoby still out for New York. As far as Dallas, Anthony Davis is out. Did see Mark Cuban came out and said that Anthony Davis is not going to be traded. They're going to go for it this year. They want to win. Okay. Like, wasn't Anthony Davis questionable 2 weeks ago? Remember he was questionable? And then there was the rumor, like the one of the owner, I guess the real owner, like the bigger chunk of the franchise said like there's a story that we don't want him coming back until you can guarantee me his leg's not going to, hamstring's not going to pop or whatever. It's like, all right, I don't know how you do that. Okay. Any event, Davis is out. Oh, Cooper Flagg. He had the fish, so he's ill. He's questionable. We're not sure if he's going to play or not. The 2 bigs are back, Lively and Gafford. Kyrie, of course, still out. And I guess Caleb Martin must have ate lunch with Cooper Flagg because he's also ill. He also had the fish, and he's also questionable. New York and Dallas, FanDuel, what do you got?
Yeah, I think that Karl Anthony Towns at 9.9 is pretty interesting, regardless if Brunson plays or not. Obviously, if Brunson sits, then Cat would be a very, very strong play. Center, power forward. You're probably just playing him at power forward. That's a pretty easy decision tonight. Other than that, on the New York side, not getting to much here at all. Miles McBride might be interesting if Brunson were to sit, but really, we have such amazing value already tonight. I don't think that's necessary. Regardless if you said Cooper Flagg's questionable, I must have missed that one. Okay, yep. So Flagg, PJ Washington at 6,200. I mean, he's a really, really strong play, and do not forget about him tonight when you're building out FanDuel teams. I know that we're going to talk about a tremendously popular game next, but PJ Washington, I absolutely love tonight. And if Flag were to miss, that might catapult him over some of these plays that are currently projecting better than him right now. So PJ Washington is already a smash play, way, way too cheap on FanDuel. So do not forget about him. That's really it for me, though. So it's really just Cat and PJ Washington.
Mr. Richards asking if Cooper had Bad Lobster. Have you had Bad Lobster before? You probably had Bad Lobster. Is that a thing, Bad Lobster? I guess it is, right?
I mean, we get the lobster right off the boat, so we do not get Bad Lobster.
There's no chance for it to get tainted for you. It's there's no middleman essentially.
There is no middleman. We buy them right off the boats.
Oof. Is there a discount because there's no deliveries? Is it cheaper locally?
It is. Yep.
That's what I figure. Okay, let's talk about the last game. Last game on FanDuel, not on DK. Bulls, Blazers. Blazers playing the back half of back-to-back. They're 4-point dogs at home because they're ruling out a bunch of players. Jeremy Grant also might have had the Bad Lobster. He's ill. He's questionable. Did not play last night. Drew Holiday, he's got a calf. He's out. No Scoot. Shaedon Sharpe is the big one because he's got an outrageous usage when Holiday is out, like 38% or so. Not officially out, but doubtful. A midday downgrade to doubtful suggests to me he ain't playing. He's got a calf. And then Time Lord Robert Williams also out with a knee. They still have 11 dudes, so they're still I guess it'd be 10 if Grant doesn't go. As far as the Bulls, Trey Jones is questionable. Jalen Smith is questionable, but nothing really of note. It's just more about the Blazers, right? Your thoughts for the Blazers and the Bulls?
I mean, the Blazers are like one of the, if not the most important teams on the FanDuel slate. We've already removed Shaedon Sharpe from projections, getting to a ton of Caleb Love here at 3,400. Like I said at the top of the show, I've never seen him play basketball before. Really going to be trusting the projections team. They always do a fantastic job here. We currently have him projected for 28 fantasy points at 3,400. So he's flooding optimals right now. I don't see any reason to fade that. So I love that. Denny Avdia, obviously, at 9,200. Absolutely love him too. So those two. Oh, I was looking at the wrong pricing tier there, but yeah. So Denny Avdia is 9K. Caleb's 3,500. Sorry about that, but either way, it's the same thing. You're getting to a ton of both these guys. Kamara, especially if Grant were to miss, would be a very, very strong play. Like Grant and Kamara both already project really well, but if Grant were to miss, you're probably getting to at via Kamara and Love. Center's so strong. I kind of was looking at Donovan Clingan, but center's just too strong. I can't fool around with that. So I think it's just Atvia, Love, and Kamara here.
We're not projecting Love to start, at least according to our page.
We're not. No, we're not. And he's still projecting tremendously well.
Yeah.
26 fantasy FanDuel points.
Undrafted rookie 2025, but yeah, he does project really, really well. I'm also somebody who doesn't watch college basketball, so I don't have a scouting report on this person, so I really can't give you anything. But the projections do like him. You said you watched the mixtape for Caleb Love. You were checking it out.
I was just briefly looking at some little YouTube highlights of him, just because I don't even think I ever heard of him.
Give me the Filt and the Plums play. Who's breaking the slate? Whatever you want to call it. We have Crunch Time knocking on the door. Noto's coming in here, as well as Kevin Roth. Additionally, Kyle Murray. There's a lot of potential options, Tim. A lot of potential slate breakers. A lot of ways to go. It's kind of an overwhelming one. Who is your current slate breaker tonight?
Yeah, so I've just been talking about going a little bit more balanced today, especially on DK. Just so many people are going to be going stars and scrubs. So we talked about this guy right at the very beginning of the show. Absolutely love Benedict Mathurin. I think he is a very, very strong play, and he's got a massive ceiling. And I just don't think many people are going to play him today. So absolutely love him. That was
going to be the guy who I was going to throw out there. So I'm far off But I'm just going to pivot to crunch time. I think Mathurin, we talked about it. I kind of laid it out today in one of the blurbs. First came back, he played 25 minutes. There was a minutes restriction, but I think it was 14 free throws, like in 15 shots, like a 42% usage. They are desperate for anybody that can show any sort of offensive competency, and he certainly would give them a boost. Okay, let's do it. Let's seamlessly segue. Crunch time is here. We got Roth, we have Kyle, we have Noto. Let's do it right now. Kevin, we have a Roth slate tonight. I'm not sure if you know, but there is you can have fun. You can play 2 or 3 studs and a bunch of nonsense. Have you taken a look? Have you listened at all? Do you know all the cheapies? You can play all the 3K nonsense. Marvin Bagley is your friend tonight, in theory. Plays, maybe.
Yikes. I did not know. I've been a little busy, like doctor appointments and stuff, but I'm excited. I've been getting my ass kicked the last week. And I'm good at NBA DFS. It's what I do. But I need a big night, and maybe tonight's the night.
We look more times than not. Like the game is not set up for you to win every single night. That's just how that goes. But it's like, what do you win when you win, Kevin? That's the big deal. No. Did I see you won something big over the weekend? I feel like I saw somebody mention that for football. Is that correct?
It's not correct. I would love for that to have happened, but yeah.
Oh, no.
Nice one,
Somebody
Dean.
said this and stuff.
Do you just make up things, Dean?
No, I heard somebody say in passing.
You're setting it up for next week.
Oh, I'm just going to speak it into existence.
Might have been Bobby. Bobby had a big night.
Bobby, yeah. Well, you were a part of the show with Bobby on the weekend, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, Bobby took down third in the Millie Maker, so he was on the podium. Yeah, I think Kirkwood had a big night too, but yeah. You're going to get him this week, Noto. Now it's your turn, for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Kyle, how was your weekend before I be presumptuous?
It was good, but yeah, I'm glad you didn't set me up for that one. That was a big swing and a miss for you there, Dean. But no, it's been good. Looking forward to talking some NBA here.
All right. You guys got a lot to talk about. You got 40 minutes. Myself and Tim, we thank you for watching the first portion. Do hit the like button. Do subscribe. Turn on notifications. Do not go anywhere because Kevin Roth has got you for the next 40 minutes for crunch time. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff as always. Welcome to it. Ladies and gents, you know the drill. It's crunch time. 2 of the sharpest minds in the industry. We got some questions already coming in. Mr. Irrelevant says, is this the most attractive crunch time trio of all time? You're damn right. In fact, you can take the word crunch time out of there and just leave it. Is this the most attractive trio of all time? You're still right.
Comp this man some RG combo.
Yeah. Hook that man up with some free stuff. We're here, though, not because of this, not because of the money makers, but because we're going to make you some money. That is the goal tonight. Kyle Murray in the house. What up, man? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. This is a very interesting slate. Dean obviously talked about a lot of the value, so it'd be fun to break it down.
Okay, very good. I'm excited about it. We got Noto, a.k.a. you may know him as Derek Farnsworth, but probably only if you're related to him. It's Noto in the house. What up, Noto?
Yeah, what's up? I went to the store for like 45 minutes and the slate's completely different than it was when I left. So yeah, excited to break it down with you guys.
It's always fun. You're doing all the research and building lineups and doing all these things throughout the day. And then you're like, oh, none of that mattered. It's all out the window now. Well, very good. We need, Hammer says Mr. Irrelevant needs some glasses, which, hey, I thought he was spot on. Let's dive into it. We have 39 minutes until lock. A pretty sizable slate here. A lot of games, and you mentioned a lot of moving pieces, a lot of value as well. Noto, why don't we just jump right into it? We like to start on FanDuel, and we like to start at point guard. What do you got for me, man?
Yeah, a lot of good options here. You obviously have the Golden State situation. They're pretty much resting or have everyone injured. So pods at 5,400 makes a lot of sense. Miami, fastest paced team in the league. They're a much better matchup than they used to be. You could also play Pat Spencer. Looks like he's going to be much lower owned. So I want to look at him in large field stuff. If you're spending up, love Tyrese Maxey. No Embiid tonight. Pretty good matchup at home against Toronto. After that, I mean, don't mind going to Josh Giddey, even though Kobe White's back. I love that game environment. It's probably one of my favorites to stack, especially now that Portland's going to be missing a bunch of guys. And then, yeah, it's not DiVincenzo, probably more of a DraftKings play for me. But yeah, that's it for me at point guard.
Yeah. Kyle, your thoughts at point over on FanDuel, please.
Yeah, Maxey, definitely my favorite spend up option. Maybe one of my favorite spend ups on the slate. He's just going to play so many minutes and get so much usage there with Paul George, Kelly Oubre, Joel Embiid all out. So love Maxey tonight. Noto alluded to the Golden State guys, so you can play pods, and you can even play Pat Spencer at 3.6. There is a lot of really good value, so you probably don't need to go crazy with a guy like Pat Spencer, who's likely not gonna start and probably not gonna play as much as some of these other guys, but a good potential tournament pivot. In the mid range, guys like Nembhard I think are interesting. DiVincenzo in a matchup against Washington, I think it actually makes sense to maybe have a little bit more exposure to DiVincenzo than some of the more spend ups on Minnesota, because that game's probably going to blow out. So if it's a spot where these guys are only going to play 30, 31 minutes, it'd be easier for DiVincenzo to pay off that shorter price tag than some of those spend ups for the Timberwolves. But like all those guys tonight, McCollum's also projecting pretty well. I don't know if I love the ceiling there, but if you're playing a cash or like a single entry type build, you can make a case for him there, especially if you're looking for a run back in a scenario where you're playing a couple of Timberwolves. But for the most part, it's mainly going to be guys like Podziemski, Maxey, maybe a little bit of Andrew Nembhard involved as well in that matchup against Charlotte. But Maxey's definitely my favorite point guard on the board.
Okay, let's go over to shooting guard. Kyle, you can lead us off there.
Yeah, a couple of really interesting value options. Obviously, Will Richard likely going to start here. He's been actually starting even with some of these guys available for Golden State. So at 4K, he looks like a great option. I actually haven't projected to score the most actual points for the Warriors here. It's very close between him and Moody and Podziemski, but I do think he has a pretty solid ceiling in the spot. There's been some talk about Caleb Love as well. Potentially volatile play, but from what we've seen from him in college and in the limited time we've seen him on an NBA floor, dating back to even some summer league stuff, a good permanent producer. So he projects quite well at 3.5. You can still play Podziemski at shooting guard as well. Moses Moody at 4.7. So probably a good chunk of lineups are going to have some Warriors involved at the shooting guard position, because you can also play Buddy Hield there. Two other names I'll throw out. Anthony Edwards here at 9.3, and then Quentin Grimes at 6.1. I like Grimes quite a bit in this spot. Good matchup against Toronto. And then obviously with all those guys out for the Sixers, I think he looks pretty good here.
I'm already running into an issue where I don't have enough guard slots I'm building over on DK, but this is already becoming a problem for me. Noto, what are we doing at shooting guard?
Yeah, great position to punt on FanDuel. Will Richard, Caleb Love, I think they're going to be the chalk plays, and then you can kind of spend up everywhere else in your lineups. Will Richard, really good per minute numbers, 0.93 DK, 0.94 FD. So a guy, if he's going to get a bunch of minutes, got to like him. Caleb Love, good game last night, played 32 minutes, put up 32 fantasy points. We mentioned pods, Moses Moody coming off a big game a few nights ago. I think he's certainly viable. Kyle mentioned Edwards and Grimes. I think those are probably your top 6 for large field stuff. Don't mind looking at VJ Edgecombe. He had the great start of the season, and I think a lot of people are going to just overlook him, maybe play Grimes instead, even though Oubre's out, Embiid's out. So I think he could be an interesting way to get different. Donovan Mitchell has been on a tear, 50+ in 4 of his last 7. So if you want to get a little bit different and spend up a shooting guard, don't mind looking at Donovan Mitchell. Jamal Murray feels a little underpriced as well, but it's hard to just forego the cheap values is the problem.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to small forward, where, again, I assume we're looking at some Golden State.
Yeah, Moody stands out at 4.7, but Deni Avdija, 9K. No Shaden Sharp now. Jeremy Grant could sit as well. He's a guy that the floor isn't what it is for some of the other superstars, but he's had 50, 62, 59, 60, 60. Like, he has plenty of upside, and we got to spend that salary somewhere. So I do like getting up to Avdija. Anthony Edwards is here as well. After that, it's kind of a weaker position for me. Don't mind looking at Scotty Barnes in tournaments, but probably not single entry guy for me. Kamara is going to play a ton of minutes. I don't know, how much his role is going to change with everybody out. He's one of those guys that can play 25 minutes and not do much with it. But the minutes will be there, and the ownership is probably going to be low. So if Grant's out, don't mind looking at him.
Okay, very good. Kyle, I want your thoughts at small forward, and then we did just get some forward news. Naquan Tomlin is starting. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea who that is, but he's cheap, I assume. Kyle, what are we doing at small forward, and any interest in Naquan?
Yeah, Talman was already projecting decently for me, but I think with the news of him being bumped into the starting lineup, I think he's power forward only on FanDuel. So I think at 3.9, we'll see where we end up minutes wise when projections update there. But I will be curious to see if he projects anywhere comparable to some of these other guys. But really good per minute guy dating back to the start of last year. He's over a point per minute, so he could be a really good pivot, especially if ownership doesn't get onto him there with some of the late news. So definitely worth mentioning. I love the Denny call from Noto at 9K. I think he looks awesome here. Portland's playing super fast. Right now, they're the second fastest paced team in the NBA, and they get a good matchup here against a top 12 pace team and a bottom 10 defensive efficiency team in the Bulls. So Denny had a bad night last night, but I think it's a good bounce back spot for him. And it's also kind of nice that he had a bad game because he only played 29 minutes. So on a back-to-back, not too worried about any rest issues there. And then, all the Golden State guys that we talked about carry over here to small forward with Moody and Buddy Hield also being small forward eligible. You also have Santos here who could start. The Warriors starting lineup is definitely worth monitoring. Buddy Hield might not start in the spot. It could be Santos. They could do a lot of different weird things here. Already mentioned Quentin Grimes and Anthony Edwards. And then PJ Washington I'll throw out there at 6'2". Kind of one of those guys that might be getting lost in the shuffle a bit because he's in that awkward price range of not necessarily a value but not a spend up, but he looks pretty good. His rebound rates look quite solid here with all of these guys out. So PJ Washington also on the board for me.
Okay, let's go to power forward, Kyle.
Yeah, so Denny's probably going to be one of my favorite power forwards as well. PJ Washington also over here. Naz Reid at 5'5". Could see him get a couple extra minutes with McDaniels out, and then you also have an elite matchup. Doesn't really get much better than this against Washington here. The only issue I have is the potential blowout, but again, Naz Reid, similar to DiVincenzo, if they played 25 to 28 minutes, those guys are really good permanent guys, so they could easily get it done. And you're not necessarily counting on big minutes for Naz Reid anyway, so he might be one of my favorite Timberwolves if you're a little bit worried about the potential blowout there. Kamara, Noto touched on him a little bit. I agree. I mean, he's going to play a ton of minutes, not necessarily a great permanent guy. He's under 1 fantasy point per minute, but he is certainly a value due to how many minutes he's going to play. Jackson Davis, you can actually play here at power forward. Again, do want to see the starting lineup there, see what they do with that team. If he starts, he would look even better, but at 3.6, he's certainly in play as a value option. Jeremy Grant, Scotty Barnes, these are some of the tournament plays that I have on the board. And then Peyton Watson, as long as he continues to start, really good matchup here for him against the Pelicans.
Okay. Noto, your thoughts there at power forward?
Yeah, Kyle covered it really well. I like Avdia up top. Naz Reid, if you pull up his game log, there's a few red boxes in there. Those are the nights that I play him. So I don't know. I love him tonight, but it's probably going to be bad because I do like him once again. And then, I don't know. The Denver guys, I do want to take some shots on Peyton Watson, Cam Johnson, especially if Aaron Gordon ends up being out, which we won't know for a little bit. So I think both those guys are going to fly under the radar in terms of their ownership. It's been a really bad season for Cam Johnson in his first year with Denver, but coming off his best game, I think he could be interesting at 4.3, and then Peyton Watson is probably your safer guy at 4.6. Don't know about any of the other guys like Siakam, Durant. We've been playing them a lot recently. Julius Randle. I just don't know if this is the slate for it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the big men. Noto, of course, you got the big spend up. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good values at every position that I am kind of just tempted to lock in Jokic and then let all the other values just sort themselves out.
Real quick, I'm building over on DK. He's 13 over there. He's 12.8 here. What do you need from him to make that worth it? Like, if he gets you 70 fantasy points, are you like, oh, hell yeah, I'm glad I played him? Or are you kind of like, eh?
It all depends on the slate, right? Because he allows you to get all these cheap guys that could 7x, 8x. So if he gets you, 65 and all your value plays go off, then it's probably going to be enough. But like overall, you're generally wanting 70, 75 from him at that price point. But just the fact that he allows you to play so many of the good values, I think you might not need more than 65.
Well, Noto, you can play the good values regardless. You're allowed to just,
that's true.
You don't have to.
But I mean, like an AK guy getting 40 is different than Jokic getting 60. It's going to be more valuable tonight.
Yeah. Plus, if all the chalk value hits and Jokic is just the highest scorer on the slate, it could easily be good enough, even if it's only like 65, just because of just the raw points on the board, and everyone else is having all this value payoff.
Yeah. Like I locked in Jokic and just ran the optimal around him, and you get Maxey, Denny, Jokic, and then a bunch of cheap guys, which it looks pretty good right now.
Yeah. Any other thoughts at center in case someone doesn't have 13,000 or 12,800 on FanDuel to spend, Noto?
Yeah, Marvin Bagley, if you do want to save, I think there are better values at other positions. Same with Quentin Post, but Nas Reed's there. I do like Andre Drummond. I have him tagged right now, but I'm probably going to untag him after all these other values came out. Drummond's just a guy that every time he gets big minutes, he's going to produce, and, Bona's out, Embiid's out. So he'd probably be my favorite pivot away from Jokic.
Okay, very good. Kyle, your thoughts there at center?
Yeah, I think it's tough to not build around Jokic just because there are so many very valuable salary relief options, and it makes it really easy to get a guy who is more likely than not going to be the top overall scorer, and it could be by a wide margin. Like we're talking about guys like Denny here, who projects really well for 50 points, but we've seen some volatility from him. SGA's in a game with a damn near 20-point spread. He could easily only play 26 minutes tonight. So with all that being said, if Jokic is just going to be the widespread top scorer, he's going to be tough to not build around. But if you do want to kind of flip the build on its head and maybe use some of these value guys, I love the Drummond call. Klingon projects pretty well. Marvin Bagley, I will say Washington starting lineup, we need to see what that is, because it seems like people are assuming Marvin Bagley starts across the board. I think he's probably the favorite to start, but wouldn't be surprised to see Vucevic start. And if that's the case, he could be a pretty interesting value pivot, as well as people could not be able to get to him at that point because it's an 8 p.m. game. So keep that in mind as well.
We did get some starter news here, both Mr. Irrelevant and Derek in the chat pointing out that Edwards is starting over Grimes. I don't know if we had that locked or if you have any interest now in that, Kyle.
It's not going to change anything for me. I kind of assumed that they might do something weird here with Grimes. They really want to get him the 6th Man of the Year award, so they're going to continue to keep him off the bench. But I think his minutes projection will likely remain unchanged. He might lose a minute or two, but I think those minutes he's losing will be offset by an increase in usage there.
Gotcha. Okay. Ricky Rose says, can you tell me who is more owned, Edgecombe or Grimes? Can we pull up that ownership real fast before we kick it to DK?
I can look real quick.
I'm guessing Grimes. 20% for Grimes, 12 for Edgecombe.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. All right. We want to head over to DraftKings. Before we do that, I want to make sure that you are doing what you can do to win. And one of the things is get some NBA shot quality. Gives you the most predictive data in basketball. Breaks down every shot to show you what should have gone in, not just what did go in, or maybe a guy missed a bunch of shots and you think, wow, he sucks. And then you look at shot quality and you realize those are really high quality shots. And if he does that same thing again next game, they're probably going in. He's going to score a bunch of points. Right now, you can get a 3-day trial just by heading to the link in the show description. After that, it does renew monthly for $39.99. Don't play blind, play smarter with shot quality. Also, you got Combo Pro going on. I feel like just about everybody plays multiple DFS sports, right? I think there's very few people who only do one sport. So if you are just doing basketball or just doing football, just get more bang for your buck. Combo Pro, you get your first month for $79.99. That's just $5 more than an NFL DFS monthly subscription. It is truly elite value, so I highly recommend you take advantage of that. Let's see. We got a center question from Ryan, and then we're going to kick it to DK. Is it negative correlation to play Şengün and Adams in the same lineup? Noto, you want to handle that?
For me, it's more of a slate size thing. I think tonight you wouldn't want to play them together on 2-game slate, 4-game slate. But I don't think they're negatively correlated necessarily.
Okay, good notes. Let's go over to DraftKings. And over there, we like to start at point. Kyle, did you start us off on FanDuel?
I think Noto did.
Then perfect. Kyle, you can start us point guard on DK. And I'll wait till the end. But man, I need some like legit 3K punts. So I'm gonna need that help in the util at some point. But Kyle, what are we doing at point?
Yeah, there's quite a few 3K guys on DraftKings. I think most of them are centers, but Pat Spencer is here at 3K. Again, he could start. I'm not expecting him to, but again, Warriors could do a lot of things with 3 of their normal starters out of the equation here. But the guys that I like most are Maxey, Podziemski, and Quentin Grimes. I'm kind of thinking that Podziemski might be a little bit more heavily owned than Grimes in this scenario, just because, again, we just got news that Grimes isn't going to start. I think people are all over the Warriors news. So if that, right now we have them at 23% for Pods, 20 for Grimes. If that gets any, more of a lean towards Pods, and let's say we get Grimes at 8 to 10% lower than Pods, I would much rather play Quentin Grimes. You can play a point guard and shooting guard. Again, I know that he's coming off the bench now, but I think he's just going to see even more usage and still play 31 to 32 minutes here in the spot. So Maxey, Pods, Grimes, my favorite option. Still like Dante DiVincenzo as well. And then Pat Spencer, I guess, would be like the punt option for me here.
Okay. Noto, your thoughts at point?
Yeah, I agree with everything Kyle said. The 3 spend-up options that I like, Maxey, Donovan Mitchell again. I don't think anybody's going to play him tonight. He's been crushing it. No Garland. It's a tough matchup against Houston, but competitive games are usually when Mitchell plays his best. Then SGA, if the Kings can just keep this game competitive, I mean, he could have a really big game at less than 10% ownership. And that's pretty much it for me. I think just Pods, Grimes, Maxey, Spencer are the best single entry cash game type plays.
Yeah. Okay. How about shooting guard?
Yeah, shooting guard, love Will Richard. Again, good per minute producer, just under a fantasy point per minute, going up against the fastest paced team in the NBA. I just ran the optimal with what we have right now, and 3 Wolves players are making the optimal with Jokic. So that's kind of interesting. That does kind of increase your risk of a blowout in that game. But other than that, again, you have Spencer, Grimes at this spot too. I like Edgecombe as kind of a lower owned guy away from Grimes. And then, most of these other plays it would take me like 4 or 5 lineups to want to be interested in them. So single entry stuff, just stick to the good RG values.
Okay. Kyle, your thoughts at shooting guard on DraftKings?
Yep. Again, I think a lot of it does carry over. You got Richard here. You got Quentin Grimes. I like the Donovan Mitchell call. I think that's a really sharp call. And one thing that I found interesting is Mitchell's projecting really well in the SimLabs side of things. So, obviously a little bit more advanced simulations on the games being run over there. And he's actually in the optimal in SimLabs. So one thing worth noting that maybe the Sims like Mitchell a bit more. Quentin Grimes I've talked about, I think, at nauseum, so probably good there. Anthony Edwards, I do like, but to Noto's point, you have to be at least a little worried about potential blowout there. I think for the most part, you're going to have a Washington guy or 2 at least in play, so there's at least a little bit of correlation there to maybe hope for that game to stay close. But I would be worried about playing guys like Edwards and Julius Randle, and then another one of these value guys that I've talked about with Reed or DiVincenzo all in the same lineup, because you're just kind of exposing yourself to that blowout risk. One guy that I think is a good tournament play that could maybe offset that is Keyshawn George. He's been really good on a permanent basis so far this year. He's been a guy who's really had a breakout season so far. So as long as he can stay healthy, I think he's on pace to have a really good season. At 5'9", I don't think many people are going to get to him there in that range. So I like him quite a bit, especially if you're using 1 or 2 of these Minnesota spend-ups.
Yeah, very good note. Okay. How about small forward, Kyle?
Yeah, so Tomlin, we do have him updated projection-wise for 24 minutes. He's small forward and power forward eligible on DraftKings, so he looks really good there. Like I said, good permanent player. We do have him projecting for under 1 fantasy point per minute in this spot. Tough matchup against Houston. Obviously, a lot of his previous samples have come while not playing with guys like Mitchell and Mobley, so it's not a surprise to see him hovering a little bit lower of his normal permanent production, but still, I think he's a guy that projects really well. 24 minutes could be a bit hot, I will say. I think it could easily be a spot where we see a couple of these bench guys play a few more minutes. We've seen them do it a handful of times already this year. But even if he plays 20-plus minutes, I still think he'll project quite well in this spot. Moody, I like once again here. Kevin Durant projects fairly decent up at the top. I will say, though, small forward is one of the weaker positions compared to some of these others on the board. So a guy like Tomlin or Moody does make a lot of sense. I would say right now the guy in my single entry at small forward is Moses Moody, though.
Yeah, I am. I'm punting here. Noto, your thoughts at small forward?
Yeah, don't expect to fill my forward spot with any small forwards. I think you just play one of them at the spot that you have to. So I like Moses Moody as well. Tomlin's a good punt. The per minute numbers look awesome. 1.17 DK, 1.30 FD. And to Kyle's point, he's playing alongside the starters now, so that's probably going to come down. But hard to argue with that price point. For large field stuff, again, I like the Denver guys. You got Cam Johnson, Peyton Watson. I think they're kind of interesting. And then, as Chop calls him, Buddy Hyde. I mean, when he's on the floor, he's going to be chucking. He might not play a ton of minutes, and he might get you like 4 fantasy points, but the shot attempts are going to be there. So if they drop, I think he could be interesting for large field stuff.
Yeah, with his just like run and gun attitude, he's almost worth it as a random play, even when the team is healthy at 4-2. And with everybody out, like maybe he just decides he's Steph and just takes all the shots.
I mean, he thinks he's Steph. Yeah,
he did right. Yeah, I am intrigued. Let's go to power forward. Noto, what are you doing there?
Yeah, so Julius Randle is probably going to be one of the higher owned guys at 8-2. It's a good price point. Great matchup against Washington. That game does have some blowout risk. I think Naz Reid's probably the safer option because he's going to see his minutes regardless of the blowout, I think. So, again, I never get him right. Just forewarning for anybody that does want to play Naz Reid. Santos, another min-salary Warriors guy that I think deserves some consideration. Probably not going to be on the Cleveland bigs other than Tomlin. If you want to get different, you go with Siakam or somebody like that. But, man, it feels like there's so many more good plays on FanDuel than there were on DraftKings just because of those 2 late games.
Yeah. Kyle, your thoughts there at power forward?
Yeah, we did just get news that Cooper Flagg is out. So that's going to change a few things. Obviously, you got some usage and some peripheral stats divvied out a little bit more. I think that'll make guys like Brandon Williams, PJ Washington look a lot better. So at small forward, PJ Washington looks pretty good here, especially on that FanDuel slate where he's a little bit cheaper. And then other guys I like, the Minnesota guys we touched on, Santos I think is in play now. Tomlin I think at 3-4 looks solid. I think it more so comes down to how many of these cheap centers that you want to play, and then obviously the Golden State guys. So that probably removes Santos from a lot of my lineups because I'm going to have a couple of different Warrior options, and then you have Tomlin in play, and then obviously the centers. So I think for me, probably going to have at least one of these Minnesota power forwards with Randall or Naz Reid. Probably more likely to be Naz Reid at this point, but do you think both of those guys project quite well?
Let's go to center, Kyle. And then I want to know at your util if you have more guard or more center, because this is a strong spot with, spend up option and some cheap value. So what are your favorites, and are you playing 2 of them?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a center in the util spot just because I think that with the Golden State game locking at 7:30, you could get some news there of maybe a guy like Jackson Davis starting. And then also I think with the Washington news, I'm going to plan for Bagley right now. And then maybe if the 7 o'clock games or 7:30 games don't get off to a good start for me, I can pivot to Vucevic, who I think is a really strong tournament option. And then I think there's still a chance that he ends up starting as well. So definitely going to have some exposure to centers here in the util spot, add some flexibility there. Then you also have obviously the spend up Jokic, but then some mid-range options with Naz Reid, Andre Drummond. Obviously you can play Reid in a power forward slot or just a forward slot, but I think those guys are all strong options. And then Şengün here as well in a matchup against Cleveland. That's actually been a pretty good matchup for some of these, versatile bigs. I'm looking at the game from Giannis. Obviously, he got hurt, only played like 13 minutes, but he was crushing. I think they have had a tough time defending a lot of these really versatile guys. So I think Şengün looks pretty good in this spot as well. Just a little bit more difficult to get to him just because of Jokic and then all these value options.
Yeah. Okay. Noto, your thoughts at center?
Yeah, so Bagley and Jokic are kind of hitting the optimal right now. I think both are strong plays. I don't mind the pivot to some of these other cheap guys, Vucevic at 3K. Yeah, even if he doesn't start, I think he's a nice pivot off of Bagley in tournaments. The game log doesn't look great, but again, the minutes haven't been there. My fill it in the plums play all day has been Andre Drummond, so I'm just going to lock him in and go from there. 6'2" for a guy that always been an elite per minute producer. No other centers active today. Good matchup against Toronto. He's going to be by the rim all night long with a matchup against Pirtle. So, yeah, I like Drummond, and then Jokic and Bagley are probably your safe cash game guys.
Yeah, I kind of love that Drummond call. I might have to Going to enter another lineup and try to get in some Drummond. Very good, guys. Before we open it up to questions, I want to just generally talk about value because we've got all of these 3K guys, 3-1 guys. Can you or anyone rank your favorite value pieces or who you feel most comfortable playing?
We're talking FanDuel or DraftKings?
Let's do DraftKings for this.
Okay, let's look.
I think my favorite value play is probably Will Richard at this point. He looks pretty solid at 4 or 5, a little bit more expensive on FanDuel, but certainly I think one of the guys I feel best about from a range of outcomes perspective. I think Pat Spencer is a guy who has a solid ceiling. He's been a really good permanent guy, 3K min price, so I like him quite a bit. And then there's 3 or 4 centers I think are all really strong options: Bagley and Vucevic, and then Trace Jackson Davis, and even Steven Adams at 3.7 is also projecting quite well. So those would probably be my favorite values as of right now. And then Tomlin also now in the fold at 3.4.
Yeah. Noto, any differing of opinions there?
No, not really. I think Richard's probably the guy for me. But man, this feels like a late season slate where the top 5 point per dollar guys are 3K or 3-1.
Yeah.
So you just gotta hope you get the right couple values in there.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, guys. We've got about 11 minutes until lock. Did get a question about LaMelo. I saw someone bring him up earlier as well. Is he still on a crazy minutes restriction, or is he allowed to do whatever he wants to do?
I don't know if it's anything that they've been super vocal about, but we have him, I think, at a 30 or 31 minute cap, and I would probably feel hard pressed to project him for much more than that.
Yeah. Any interest in playing him?
I think he's fine. I mean, if in tournaments, I think it's fine. He still has a ceiling, but I think it's just difficult on this slate to where you have so many guys in that price range that make a lot more sense for me. I would prefer Edwards, Şengün, and Maxey, and then even Denny Abdia. So I think it's just difficult slate construction wise.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and pop open the old Discord. We're also going to take some questions into, of course, the YouTube. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for us if you're watching on YouTube. It is free content with 2 of the sharpest and most handsome men in the biz. It's the YouTube chat that said that, not me. How many shepherds are too many shepherds in a DK lineup? Is there other shepherds other than Reed Shepherd, or does he just have a lot of Reed Shepherd?
Ben Shepherd's also starting, but I don't think you can get there on this slate. Too many. I think all the Warriors guys are better.
One is too many for me.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. Let's see. DKGPP, your third favorite Warrior, assuming that Moody and Pods are your 2 favorite Warriors. In a DKGPP, Kyle, I think your answer is Spencer, but I'm guessing.
Well, they left Richard off that list of the because they said Moody and Pods. I prefer Richard over Pods for sure. Moody's maybe close. So yeah, and if that in that case, it would be Richard, but I do like Pat Spencer in tournaments quite a bit.
Okay, very good. Noto, got a few questions for you here. What is the minutes projection that we have on Naquan Tomlin? Was it 22 or something?
24 is where I saw it last, but they might have come down on it a little bit.
Okay, I was just trying to remember. 24. Noto, DKGPP, Reed Barnes or Tomlin Siakam?
Second one.
Okay. Jim says, Noto, your thoughts on Tvuk, the center for Washington. I heard, I think Kyle brought him up. Do you have any interest there, Noto?
Yeah, if you don't want to play Bagley, I think he's a great pivot away from him in tournaments.
Yeah, very good.
The game log's ugly though. Don't open the game log.
Don't look at the game log.
Yeah.
I'm going to scroll up in the YouTube just a little bit here, see what we got. Yo Mama says, Kyle, Maxey or SGA? This is a single entry question.
It's tough, but I'm taking Maxey here. I'm a little worried about the potential blowout. I don't even know if it's potential. It's an 18.5 point spread. So I'm going to take Maxey there.
Yeah. Okay. Hoosier saying Banner says, Kyle, it sounds like nobody's playing Westbrook.
Yeah, I think Westbrook, I think, also was a victim of that game being, likely to blow out. I actually bet his under on rebounds and assists earlier this morning, so I'm a little worried about potential minutes there. But I will say, if you're going to play SGA, you probably want to pair him up with somebody, and with Sabonis out, Westbrook could be a good correlation option there. So I think that makes sense playing both those guys together.
That's good thinking. Noto, a few questions for you. J-Mam says, what do you think the highest usage Warriors tonight, other than Buddy Hyde?
I think Richard will be up there. Moody will be up there. Maybe Spencer.
Yeah. Okay. Thoughts on Fears run back with Jokic?
Yeah, I mean, I brought him up in my article today, and it's just one of those things that throughout the course of the day, it's going to go, interest is going to go down on a guy like that. So yeah. I'm okay with it, but I don't love it.
Okay. Kyle, the chat believes that you are twins with Pat Spencer. Is there any relation? Is there truth to this?
I swear, every time I do the show, I get a new twin. I always get like Luka or Sabonis or Pat Spencer. Pretty common theme here, but I can't hate on it. There's definitely worse twins to have, that's for sure.
The Pat Spencer one's pretty good, really. Like that, I can actually see that. That's pretty good. You put a hat on that guy and trim the beard a little, and that's.
I actually get Luka out in the wild quite a bit, which I'll take.
Yeah, last time I saw you, I said that.
Yeah.
I think we were on a boat drunk in New Orleans.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt there was much sober things happening there, which explains it. DK at 6K, Kyle. 6K at the forward spot on DK.
Sorry, you said 6K on DraftKings?
Yep, for forward in general.
Yeah, a little bit of buffer there, but Nasri would be my favorite. He's 5'3". If you're looking for someone like that's exactly 6K, probably say DeAndre Hunter, but I would recommend Reed and then trying to utilize that 700 elsewhere.
Kyle, personal question. Forward at 3K. Is there a 3K forward?
You got Gui Santos at 3K. Yeah. We've had like some debate internal Slack about who's going to start. Santos is an option. So if he starts, he'll look pretty good here. I don't know if we have that official lineup yet. I'll probably get it right after lock. But yeah, he's the 3K forward I would recommend.
I love that. I don't have time to redo anything, so we're plugging him in and crossing our fingers regardless. Let's see. FanDuel single entry Noto coming to you. Moody or Nas?
Oh man, love both, but I will side with Nas.
Okay. Let's see. DK, your play of the night, price excluded. So Noto, just who's the dude? It can be a cheap guy. It can be an expensive guy. Who's your dude tonight?
Andre Drummond.
I freaking love that call. I'm entering another lineup, and I'm getting in a little bit of Drummond. Kyle, who's your dude tonight on DK?
I'm going to go with Vucevic here at 3. I think he's 3K flat. So he's the pivot off of Bagley if you want to get there. And again, I think there's a chance he starts. So make sure you're checking that news.
Okay. I'm hoping the answer is Pat Spencer because he's the only dude I have in 100% of my lineups right now.
I was debating him as the other one, so I like him as well.
Let's see what else we've got here. Back in the Discord, we got a question. Can I get thoughts, Noto, on 2 super cheap guys for large field DK tournaments? The 2 guys are Robert Dillingham and Brandon Carlson.
I mean, everything, you have to consider the whole slate, right? We have so many 3K guys that are great plays. I just don't want to play Dillingham, who we have projected for 7 minutes. I just don't think you need to do it. You can get different with your superstars. I think that's the way to do it tonight. Donovan Mitchell, Drummond, some of those guys.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Grant or Reed, Kyle, I'm coming to you. Grant or Reed in the last spot?
Reed.
Any love for Najee N. Powell? Why can't I think of his first name?
Norm Powell.
Norm, thank you. I was Najee. I was like, that's not right.
I don't mind Norm Powell if, especially if you're using it as a correlation option with some of these Warriors, but certainly think there are better projected plays here.
Okay. Alan says, can we do Noto a Fontecchio punt off Tomlin in a DK GPP?
You can. I wouldn't. You can.
Okay, that's fine. If you can, you can. Dylan King says, Noto, Watson and Reed or Moody and Tomlinson and Mathurin? It was like a 2v3. Watson and Reed or Moody and Tomlinson and Mathurin?
Ladanian?
Yes.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. I didn't even hear what you said after I heard Tomlinson. Okay, one more time.
Watson, Reed or Moody, Tomlinson, and Mathurin?
How is this?
I guess Tomlinson is Tomlin.
The 2v3? Okay. Yeah, I like Tomlin on DK. So
all right, we'll play that side. We're confused by the question, Dylan.
Not
DK
bad.
GPP, Kyle, we have less than 3 minutes until lock. Making you work for it in the util 4,700 or less.
Sorry, which site?
DK GPP util 4,700.
Will Richard.
TJ Moose-Manzada. Speaking of throwback football names after a Tomlinson reference, we get TJ Moose-Manzada. Kyle, single entry GPP, Jokic and Bagley or Drummond and Şengün. Thank you, fellas.
Oh, that one's tough, but I'm going to go with the Jokic one.
Okay. Noto, any interest in Jabari Smith, last man in, says will be needed with their bigs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it with decent out. These guys can get hot. It's just not a good matchup. I mean, Cleveland's just good defensive front court. So I don't hate it, don't love it.
Okay. Dylan is redoing the question. Thank you, Dylan. Watson and Reed or Tomlin and Moody? That is the question. Watson and Reed or Tomlin and Moody? Noto?
Ooh, it's close, but I like the second one.
Very good. Jim says thoughts on Koulibaly, Kyle?
He's still on a minutes limit, I believe. I don't know if it's like official, but they're definitely holding back on him, so I probably find it difficult to play him.
Okay. Noto, do you mind Tomlin over TDJ? Trace?
Yeah, I like both tonight. But yeah, I like Tomlin.
Okay. Reed Shepherd or Moody, Kyle, on FanDuel? He's already got Richard.
Moody.
Okay.
Yeah, still Moody.
Okay. DK large field, Kyle. Would you play an 8-9 center projecting for 49 and less than 6% combined? That's the two Charlotte centers.
Wait,
so he's basically saying, can I just play the two Charlotte centers as my center play? You know, util and center.
No, because those guys don't share the floor, so you're hurting yourself on a upside basis, and there's a lot better plays, so I would not do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I like doing that on short slates, but not on these slates.
Yeah.
To be clear, producer Kyle trying to help me out, saying Trace Jackson Davis. I know his name, but the question was TDJ, and that's why I was like, this is not right. 3K guys to fade. This is a fun one. We're gonna end it here. A 3K guy to fade. Who's the 3K guy that you're like, ooh, for whatever reason he's not making any of your lineups, or if you're playing him anyways, the dude you're most afraid of, kind of shit in the bed. Kyle?
For me, I would say Santos is the guy I'm not playing as much, but for a tournament perspective, Marvin Bagley at 3-1, only because I think that you have a good pivot option that's going to be like a fraction of the ownership with Vucevic. But again, I do think Bagley currently is a safer option, but Santos would be my answer to the question.
Okay. Noto, you have one of those 3K dudes that you're like, ooh, I don't know about that.
I'm playing the least of TJD, but I do like him.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Apparently I called producer Steve, producer Kyle. It's been a rough day. We're surviving. We made it. And we hit the lock. So that's what we came here to do. Excellent stuff for Kyle, for Noto, for our wonderful production crew, Steve, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.